Really proud of our effort tonight. Certainly at times during the course of the game it wasn't always pretty, but we were able to figure out a way to win the game. Came up with some big stops when we needed. I thought we executed offensively really well in that second half. Khalil was huge. We were obviously trying to get him the ball in the paint as much as humanly possible, and they were trying to take away Enoch as much as they could, right, to allow take away some of his playmaking opportunity. But I thought everybody continued to just defend regardless of what was happening on the offensive side, and it was a great team effort.
Yeah, Coach. For Khalil Spear, career high today, 30 points. He also joined the Army 1,000 points club. Can you just speak on what he's meant to this program over these past couple of years, and in his graduate season now, how he's grown and matured as a player?
Khalil's obviously a guy who when he came here, you could see a lot of the raw ability that he had. He's put some incredible amounts of time and effort into continuing to develop as a player. Obviously you saw the way he shot the ball today from the perimeter. He's in the gym every day with Dave Fedor, working, trying to get better, trying to continue to improve his game. He's continued to get stronger, and he virtually, when he was at his first year with us, he had basically doubled his points total, and then the next year almost took another huge jump. Right, obviously. When you get to 15, 16 points a game, it's hard to take another huge jump, but he's remained consistent with that, and I think he's continued to develop his all-around game. He's always able to score, he's always able to rebound. Now he's doing so many things. His commitment to defense is critical for us. His ability to help us protect the rim, and obviously he's an experienced leader on this team, and guys look at him, and he came up huge today.
Lower scoring game, especially early on, rebounds pretty good. Stephon Walker had all 9 of his rebounds in the first half. Can you speak on his role he had today?
Yeah, that's one of the things. Steph averaged 19 rebounds a game in high school. It's one of the things that he's done really well. He has a great instinct. He's not afraid to be physical, and he gets after the backboards. He takes great pride in that, right? And obviously, the way that Oakland defends, and then the pace of the game, that's kind of the pace that they want to play at. It's the pace we want to play at, and so from a lower scoring perspective, I think you just have two teams that are, really trying to be disruptive defensively and really do everything in their power not to give you, just stuff with ease. And we go about it in different ways, but it's certainly the same goal is the expectation. And then, when you have a guy like Jalen Moore who can kind of he controls the pace of the game, oftentimes the game's played at the way he decides to play it at.
Coach, just for assists today for Jalen Moore, one of the top passers in the country. Was there a strategy to sort of allow him to just focus on being a scorer instead of getting the others involved?
No, I think he's done scoring and passing so well regardless, right? He coming into this game, he had 24 points. That's his low of the week, right? He had 32 on Monday and he had 27 on Friday. So, you're trying to limit all of his playmaking activity as best you can. And even if you get him at times to be not as efficient from a shooting perspective, he does a great job getting to the free throw line, right? He's just a really, really savvy player. And you even see a lot of it on the defensive side, how he tries to bait guys into passes and bad decisions with his IQ and his understanding. And, he's a hard guy to deal with. And, I thought he did a really good job on him throughout the entire game. Again, he got to the free throw line a little bit. He got a lot of his stuff in transition. But I thought when we were able to set our defense, I thought we did some really good stuff against them.
Jackson last played pretty well defensively, really physical, hit a couple clutch shots. Do you think he's starting to come into his own?
Again, I've said this about Jackson, all year long is, he wants to do everything and anything he can to help the team win, right? Whether it's get a rebound, make a shot, guard whomever he's got to guard, right? He went from Friday night at stretches guarding Antoine Davis to tonight guarding Trey Towson, right? So you talk about the spectrum that he's able to do, gives us a lot of flexibility, right? And he's willing to do whatever he can to help the team win. His decisions are always team based, right? And again, he puts in the time, he puts in the work. He's watching film. He's trying to figure out what areas he can continue to improve in. And I think his value is a lot more than you see on the stat sheet.
Khalil was the only double-digit scorer. He had 30. But I thought the ball movement was very efficient, somewhere around 17 assists on 26 made shots. Can you speak on the ball movement and the impact that it had today?
Well, when you're playing zone defense, you've got to move the ball, right? And so, we had 24 assists on Friday night. We had 19 tonight. We always are trying to promote good quick decisions, good ball movement. Obviously, as we all know, the ball can move faster on the pass than it can on the dribble. And you got to be able to pick your spots when you're going to take advantage and use your dribble to get into the paint or to attack the rim. But, the ball was really moving in and out of people's hands at a good pace. And I think that when you do that, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And, I think you see some of the efficiency there in the second half where we're able to, have a great balance of, again, attacking the rim, but then also being able to make some strategic threes when the opportunity presented itself.
Andy, Oakland is near the top of the standings, 3 games over 500. It's a pretty good team as far as the record goes. Do you put any emphasis on this point of the season now where you made it to 500?
I'm just trying to get better. That's all. I know you want more than that, but really that's all we're trying to talk about. We on Friday night we mentioned each and every time we go on the floor we're trying to just earn a little bit more respect. We're trying to continue to improve. We're trying to figure out whatever that game might be asking us to do, what challenge it might present, and we're just trying to keep our focus as small as possible. Right? I thought we started to play some very good basketball in December, and then after the Fort Wayne game, I thought we had a little bit of a stretch where we kind of lost the focus on what was most important. And I think where we talked about trying to regain that, and I think in some ways we have, but it's an extremely fragile thing, and so you got to just hang on as tight as you can and try to do whatever you can to keep that mindset working, right? And I think during the course of the season, there's so many ups and downs. Like Josh Corbin has been so good. He didn't shoot the ball great tonight, but he steps up. He makes 2 huge free throws to ice the game, right? Those are the things that I think when you're just worried about making the right play or doing the right thing for the team, like you don't worry about the stats. You don't worry about any of that stuff. And I think that's one of the things that I'm proud of. Again, Khalil had it going. Nobody blinked at any point in time. We're saying, okay, let's try and get this ball here. Let's try and get this ball here, right? Again, that's what it has to be about. It's got to be how can we get the best shot? You saw a number of times where whether it was Enoch, whether it was Josh, whether it was Mike, they stepped to TJ, stepped in, had great shots. They didn't go in. The whole bench is up applauding because that's the right play to make. And I think if we can keep that in the front of our minds, we'll give ourselves the best chance.
This was a pretty big week for freshman TJ Wainwright defensively going up against Jalen Moore and Antoine Davis. How did you feel he did when he was on court this week?
TJ is extremely competitive. It's one of the things that we love about him. He doesn't back down from any challenge. We got on the bus after we lost at Detroit, and Antoine Davis had made some tough shots on him. And he gets on the bus and he says, man, I'm going to be all over ESPN. Dude just made a couple tough buckets on him. And I said, who cares? Like in my mind, I respect a guy that's going to go back again and keep trying to fight. And that's TJ's mindset. And, he wants to do so badly for the team. He wants to do so badly for himself. He was so disappointed in the shots that he missed because they were great looks, right? And I think as long as he continues to have that competitive edge, he's going to be able to have a big role for us.
The guy who's in a similar position as him coming off the bench is Chris Ford, who sort of got extended minutes in the first half. Was going up against Oakland's athleticism, was it important to have a guy like him who can be a defensive impact player?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've talked to Chris about. He had 6 rebounds today. I thought he gave us unbelievable minutes in the 12 that he was in. And, he didn't play a lot of minutes last year at Davidson, so he's, still kind of figuring some of this stuff out. But, he's got to hit the court with the energy and the effort. That's got to be so consistent every time. And, when you see that as a coach, it gives you more trust to be able to say, hey, we know this guy's going to go in and compete. He can get an extra minute here, or we can go back to him in a rotation because we know that the level of urgency is going to be where it needs to be at. And I told Chris I thought he did a great job for us today, and I wasn't sure about it this morning in shoot around. I wasn't sure what kind of minutes he was going to give us, and I told him that very politely. And I thought that he responded really well when he got his opportunity tonight.
Another strong performance today. From this charity stripe over these past couple of games, how good does it feel to finally, get over that hump where you guys struggled earlier on in the season? from the charity stripe?
You know, finally is like a, you know, like
Yeah.
a definitive
Right,
end,
yeah.
right? You know, we still have more games to
Right,
play,
yeah,
right?
you still
So,
have more games.
so we're going to go with the reporter's curse on the free throws, Ethan. That's what we're going on. We just got to keep trying to step to the line and be as, you know, solid as we can be from there, because again, that can turn upside down real quick. So, you know, we're going to continue to shoot them in practice. We're going to continue to do different things to try and add some of that game pressure to our shots, and see if we can continue to step up and make them when we need them.
You've past a month and a half now, you've had Colonial Spirit play at the 5 sort of small ball lineups in closing games. How do you feel about that lineup defensively and sort of, it might be your best offensive lineup, but there are potential downfalls to it. How do you feel in the closing stretch? Do you just focus on being able to score, or something you have to live with just physically?
Well, I think if you look at some of the matchups that we're faced with, there's a lot of teams within the league that are playing perimeter format, right? So like Keaton Hervey played 35 minutes basically as their 4-man. You look at Fort Wayne, they play Bobby Planutis. You look at you know, Detroit, you know, they're playing guys on the perimeter that are dribble drivers or shot makers. And you know, I think we just have some flexibility there where we can go with Jackson or Chris Ford, you know, kind of as that small ball 4 to be able to, if we need to switch in certain situations, you know, we trust Jackson and Chris's ability to rebound. So, you know, you might lose a little bit not having Steph in there from a rebounding perspective, but like we know Enoch and Jackson and Chris or Josh can go in there and dig some out, right? And so I think some of it's just based on game situation and personnel that our opponents, you know, are playing. And tonight I thought it was very helpful for us.